So we have started the recording of the class as well. Just wait, I'm just sharing the screen. Today morning we had some problem with this PowerPoint. I don't know why I'm not able to make them colored. Let's see now. Yeah, so everyone, in the previous class the concept was so tough now. It's very much hard to understand the river road problem. But what the type of problem I have just solved with you people, only that type of problem is asked. That is the best part of that problem. There is no variety. Only one type of problem they will ask, and the simple formula that I have given you have to apply. That's all. Now, any of the NEET experience is present among us? Anyone aspiring for NEET? Not this year, obviously. In the next
Yes,
year.
sir, me.
Okay. Okay. So only one people. There was a psychiatrist no, in our group who want to be psychiatrist. The doctor of math people. So for that also you have to crack the NEET exam. For the NEET only two subjects. Sorry, the three subjects are important. The chemistry, the physics, and obviously the biology total. So now today we are starting the most important chapter of mechanics, Newtonian mechanics. Whenever if you are going for further study in physics, obviously you have to proceed with this Newtonian mechanics. In college, you will have the subject physics, which is divided into 3 to 4 sections: atomic physics, nuclear physics, classical mechanics, Newtonian mechanics. All the sub parts you will get there. So today we are just starting Newton's laws of motion. This is a very fundamental chapter that you have already studied in your class 9. So we are starting from the base, but class 11 will be somehow different. That means the starting will be different. So at first we have to understand that why should we study this chapter? Newton's laws of motion. We know Newton is a famous scientist, right? So obviously this laws of motion will help us to study that why an object should be in motion. In the previous chapter, we have studied the three equations of motion, motion under gravity, the river boat problem, rain-man problem, everything we have studied. But what is the cause of motion? That we learn in this chapter. So before that, we should understand the fundamental thing that what are the state of an object? What are the two states of an object? An object can be in the state of rest. That means this is an object which is having a mass of m, but the velocity or the speed of the object is 0. And the second state is motion, right? Where the object is having the same mass, but its velocity is not equals to 0. So these are the two states of an object. Now, if an object wants to change its state, right? There are two conditions. First of all, an object was initially in the state of rest. So it is an object which is having a mass of m, and suppose it is having two of the wheels. Okay. Initially, the object was in the state of rest, but whenever you will apply some force, if the force is unbalanced in nature, obviously the object will change its rest position and it will become in motion. That means the object will start to move and the velocity now will not be equals to 0. First condition. Second condition says that initially the object was in motion. This is the object who was moving with a velocity of suppose 10 meters per second, which was initially in motion. But suddenly you have to stop. So obviously we'll apply some brake. So whenever you have applied some brake, so obviously the object come in the state of rest. So now the object has changed its state in rest. That means initially it was in motion, but after the application of brakes, it becomes in the rest position. So this is all about the force. That means we can say that force is the cause of every motion, right? Whenever an object wants to be in motion or an object do not remain in the state of motion, everywhere the force have to be applied, right? That means the conclusion says that if you want to change your state, you have to apply the force. That means from rest to motion or from motion to rest. Everywhere the force is applied and it must be unbalanced in nature. Now, what is the classification of force? In class 7 or in class 8, I think you have learned this. Now, why there any background noise is coming from me? Actually, I am having a
No,
fan that.
sir.
Okay. So my headphone is working nicely. Okay, so what is the classification of forces? What are the type of forces you know? If we go for the classification, from your very childhood you know na, what are the non-contact forces, what are the contact forces, what is actually the work force, what is actually the nuclear force, everything. So let me just have a small classification of force. Today we'll just understand each and every one. So initially the force is classified in non-contact forces and contact forces, right? Again, we have work forces. Oh, sorry, should not be classified now. Let me just classify in these two only. Okay, later we'll just classify in part. On the non-contact forces, first of all, we have the gravitational force, right? What is the gravitational force? That means the force due to gravitation. You have already studied all these forces in class 9. The second one is the electrostatic force. It is actually said as electrostatic force of attraction. So I am saying this is of electrostatic force of attraction. Of repulsion is also possible. So we are just concluding at electrostatic force. Third one, it is actually the magnetic force, right? So these three forces are non-contact forces. And what is about the contact forces? We can say the first contact force, that is actually the tension force. You have already studied about the tension force, na? So in this chapter we'll have lot of examples with respect to this tension force. We'll study the free body diagrams. They are so interesting. Second one is normal force, and the third one, it is actually, you can say, spring force. It can be said as spring force, or it is actually elastic force, you can say. It's actually used whenever you have an elastic material and you want to expand it by applying some force. And the fourth one is the most important and most discussable force, that is the friction force. So this is a small classification where we can classify all the forces. This classification will never come in your exam. So non-contact forces are gravitational force, electrostatic force, and magnetic force. Contact forces are tension force, normal force, spring force, and friction force. In this chapter, we'll study about the contact forces more. That is the tension, what is actually the normal force, what is the friction, everything. So at first we are starting from this tension force. Okay. Do you want to write it down? You already know, na? If you want to
Sir,
write, you
written
can say.
already.
Okay, that's very good. So let's proceed. So what is actually a tension? What is tension? Everyone attending physics class and understanding the critical concept is actually a tension, right? And the most, uh, you can say, the tension will increase whenever the numerical concept comes. So in this case, we are actually getting the tension whenever an object is suspended with the help of a thread, with the help of a wire. So suppose we can say this is a fixed portion with which the object is connected. This is the object which is having a mass of m. If the object is kept like this, obviously the weight of the object, this will work in the downward direction. So we can say this is the mass multiplied by gravitational acceleration. This is the weight of the object. It can be written as a W. Okay. So as the weight is working in the downward direction, so what we can say, there are Newton's laws. Newton was having three of its laws. First law says that if an object is in the state of rest or the object is in the state of motion, if you don't apply any unbalanced force, the object will not change its state. This is actually the first law, from where we got the concept of inertia. What is actually the definition of force? We got from the first law only, right? You know that thing. In the first slide, I have already explained the first law. That you can see that if the object is in the state of rest, and if you don't apply any of the unbalanced force, it will remain in the state of rest. Second one, if the object was in the state of motion and if you don't apply any unbalanced force, it will remain in the state of motion. This was actually Newton's first law. Whether it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the next one. Newton's second law. We have to describe all the laws at the beginning because there are more concepts which relates with the laws. So let me define all the laws at first. According to Newton's second law, we got the change in momentum. That means initially the object, this is the object which was moving with a speed of 20 meters per second in this direction. But after some time, the road was becoming so clear, there was no traffic, so it increases its speed. And now it is of 40 meters per second. So whenever the speed of an object is increased, we can say if the object is moving in a particular direction, so the velocity of the object has increased. The mass of the object remain unchanged. Okay. Now if the velocity of the object is increased, that means the object is in the state of acceleration. The object has accelerated. So we can say the momentum of the object will change. Momentum is actually the product of mass and velocity. Momentum will never be the product of mass and speed. Remember, momentum is actually a vector quantity. That's why it always equals to the product of mass and velocity. It is actually represented as P, P for momentum, not actually pressure. P is also used for the pressure as well, but in this case, in this chapter, we'll use P for momentum only. Okay. So initially the object was moving with some speed that is of 20 meters per second. If I say this is the initial speed that is of u, and in this case if the object starts to move with a speed of 40 meters per second, this is actually the final speed of the object. So we can say the initial momentum should be mass into initial velocity, and the final momentum that should be mass into final velocity. Up to this much, whether it is clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we have written for an example, this is actually the final momentum. This can be written as P2. What is the value of initial momentum? That is of P1. It is equals to mass into initial velocity. So according to Newton's second law, it is said that the change in momentum, that means the change in momentum, it can be represented as final momentum minus of initial momentum. The change in momentum is a directly proportional with that of force applied. So whenever you have applied the force on the object is accelerated now. So obviously the change in momentum occurs because you have applied the force. So according to the Newton's second law, we can say the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional with respect to the applied force. That means you have accelerated the object once. again you can accelerate, and this process can be repeated. So there is a change of momentum is occurring with respect to time. So we can say whenever you are applying some unbalanced force on that object, the momentum is changed. So the rate of change in momentum is directly proportional with the force applied. So I can say that the force is directly proportional with the final momentum minus of initial momentum with respect to time. So here, if I take m as common, I will say that is of v minus u divided by of t. What is that portion? V minus u by of t. We know that when an object is accelerated, acceleration is given by final velocity minus of initial velocity divided by of time. That means the change in velocity with respect to time, or I can say the rate of change in velocity with the rate of change in velocity is known as acceleration. Simply, whenever you are saying the rate of change in something, so obviously you are changing with respect to time. The quantity is changed with respect to time. So in this case, the rate of change in velocity is known as acceleration. The rate of change in momentum is directly proportional with the applied unbalanced force according to Newton's second law. So what I can say that v minus u by t, it should be acceleration. So I can say that force is directly proportional with mass into acceleration. Up to that much, whether it is clear,
Yes, got it.
everyone? Okay. So actually to break this proportionality, here one constant can be introduced. That constant is actually k. So I can say F is equals to k multiplied by of ma, where m is the mass and a is the acceleration of the object. What is k here? K is actually the constant of proportionality, or I can say its proportionality constant. The value of k, it is actually assumed to be 1. So that's why the final expression or the mathematical expression of Newton's second law, it is a force equal to mass into acceleration. Whether it is clear? Simple concept.
Yes,
I
sir.
will come back to this expression again whenever we'll understand the same phenomena with a differential expression. That means with the help of derivative, we can write this expression in a different way. But let me just introduce with all of the forces. The third law, according to the Newton's third law, what we can say, the force of action and the force of reaction, they appear or they occur concurrently. That means for every force of action, there should be a force of reaction. And this force of action and reaction, they occur onto different bodies. Suppose if I can say that I am pushing some of the objects, right? Suppose there is a box where I'm applying some force, that's why the object moves, right? So the box will also apply the same force on me. We know the recoil velocity of the gun, that concept, where we just fire the bullet, but the bullet is also applied the same force on us. That's why we are just moving backwards. This thing we have already learned in Newton's third law of motion, that for every force of action there is a force of reaction, right? So in this example of tension force, whenever the weight of the object in downward direction, what is weight? Weight is the one kind of force by which the object is attracted by the center of the earth. I'm repeating. What is weight? Weight is the one kind of force by which the object is attracted towards the center of the earth, right? So the earth is applying some force on this object in downward direction. This is the force of action. So the object will also apply the same force in opposite direction. And the force applied, this is actually the reaction force. And in this case, the object is tied up with a string. So that's why the tension force always work in upward direction. Tension force never be represented in downward direction. It always work in upward direction. Again, I am saying what is actually a tension force. Whenever the object is tied up with a string, So obviously the weight of the object is working in the downward direction. This is actually the force of action. So the force of reaction will be the tension force because the object is tied up with a string, and the tension force always work in upward direction along the string. Okay, so I can say from this expression that the upward force is equals to the downward force. The value of these two forces will be equal because they are force of action and the force of reaction. Whether it is clear what is actually a tension force?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's understand the normal reaction force. Okay. The normal reaction force, let me just give the heading. Okay, let me just give the heading here. That is the normal reaction force. In the name, the total thing is already explained. Normal reaction force. Normal means it is working in perpendicular direction. So that's why it is said it is normal. Okay. So suppose this is the surface on which the object is placed. If it is having a mass of m, so the weight of the object is working in downward direction. This is actually the weight of the object. So weight is a one kind of force by which the object is attracted towards the center of the earth, and this is the force of action. So obviously the object will apply the same force in the opposite direction. That means in the upward direction, the normal reaction force will work. This is represented by N, or in some books it is represented as R as well. Whatever is your favorite, you can proceed with that. In this case, the weight of the object, if it is working in the downward direction, then the normal reaction force, it is working in the upward direction, and that is directly opposite to the weight of the object. So I can say in this case, the normal reaction force is equals to the weight of the object. Whether it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, up to that much, you can just write it down, then we'll just proceed for the next one because I have to change the slide. In this case, you can remember that the normal reaction force is actually balances the weight of the object. That's why we made them equal. If for you R is favorite, you can say that this is the surface on which we have kept an object. This is having a mass of m, so the weight is acting in the downward direction, and the normal reaction force is R. Okay, so you can say R is equals to mg. I don't know actually what is given in your book. I have just left the book on Marathon. So that's why if you have your book, just mark on that portion that the normal reaction force, it can be N equals to mg, otherwise R equals to mg. And the tension force, whenever only one string is there and the object is attached with the string, so the tension force will work in the upward direction and the weight will work in the downward direction. In that case, you can see the tension force equals to weight of the object.
Sir, done.
Okay. That is for the people. Whether the total concept is clear? Do you have any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, one more thing with respect to the tension force. I have taken the example of one object only. If I have two objects, then what will happen? Let me just take an example here. Okay. I'm just erasing this T equals to mg because I need some space. So I'm just drawing a diagram. These diagrams are actually known as free body diagram because the body which is attached with that, they are free to move. That's right. This is an object. With the object, another object is attached. One diagram. Another diagram is possible whenever, suppose this is actually a fixed object with which one object is fixed This is having a mass of m, and with that another object is fixed. Okay, this is also having the mass of m. But whenever we will solve the numerical question, maybe the mass of two of the objects will be different also. It is possible. So what should be the diagram by which you can say that the tension force is acting? This is the mass m, this is also the mass m. So for this object, for the first one, what I can say, as the object is attached with a fixed portion, so obviously the tension will work in the upward direction, and in this case the total weight that will work in the downward direction. What is the total weight, can you say? I just want to know the total weight that is acting in the downward direction. Everyone, what is the total weight? Now, whenever you want to find out the total weight, just find out what is the total mass. How many masses are attached with that? That is of two masses are attached now. So m plus m I should write. So m plus m multiplied by of g. This is actually the total weight which is acting in the downward direction. One more thing. What the tension force that will work with the fixed thing and the object, that means there is a surface which is actually fixed in nature. With this surface and the object, if the tension force is T, then the tension force between the two objects, because here also some tension force will work. For the last object, for this one, the tension force will work in the upward direction. It should be represented by T1. Why I am saying T1? Why it is not equals to T? Because in this case the tension force will be different. In the for the up for the upper case, whatever the object I have taken, here the tension force is acting between the fixed surface and the object. This tension force is T. But here, between the two objects, whatever the tension force is working, it should be different than the upper one. That's why I have named it as T1. So T1 is actually balancing the total weight of two objects, because the total weight is acting in the downward direction and the tension is acting in the upward direction. Up to this much, whether it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, rest of the people, any doubt? Okay. So now we can say that I have already told you everything for this last object, this one. But I have not told you about this object. That means which is fixed with the surface. Now for this object, it should have a weight, right? The weight of this object, the weight of this object is working in the downward direction, and this weight is affecting the other object. So that's why we can say that whenever this object is working, so obviously if this object is applied with a tension force of T1, so obviously it will also apply the same tension force in the downward direction as well. These are the action reaction forces. I'm just talking about this one, like I'm explaining this thing here separately. This is one object, with that another object is fixed. The total weight is working in the downward direction. The total weight is m plus of m multiplied by of g, because both of the objects are having the same mass. So as I can see, the total weight is acting in the downward direction. So for the last object, the tension force will work in the upward direction. So this tension force is applied to that object, right? So obviously it will also apply the same tension force in the downward direction, because these two are action reaction forces. And the last one, that the topmost object is fixed with a surface, so there is a tension force which is applied in the upward direction, that is of T. Okay, in this way the tension forces can be written or represented. Whether it is clear, these two are actually the action reaction forces. If you are applying a tension force of T1 to the upper object, then the upper object will also apply the same reaction force on you. Na? The action reaction forces should be equal, but they should be applied on two different objects. So that's why the value of tension forces will be equal. Okay. Now, the last thing, that is actually there is a surface and there are two objects which are fixed. This is object M with this, another object is fixed which is also having the mass of M. So I can say the tension force which is acting between them, that is represented by T, and in this case the tension force which is acting between them, that should be of T1. Whether I can say like this, everyone just see now.
Yes, sir.
Which was actually vertical, I have just drawn in horizontal. Okay, but in this case the weight of the objects are not affecting the tension force so much, because always the weight of the objects are applying in the downward direction. This object is having the weight which is being applied in the downward direction, so this is M into G. For this object also the weight of the object is acting in the downward direction. So now for this horizontal case the weight is not affecting the tension, they are separate. Okay. Just draw the diagram, then we'll go for the next. This is one of the easiest chapters in physics, you would say. Even all the previous chapters, they were also so easy. Even this is also. Okay. Now just draw the diagram, then we'll go for the next one. So as the concept is so easy, can I make it some critical, everyone? After that much it was so easy. So I am having one of the diagram by which the concept will be somehow 0.00001% critical. Are you guys with? So I can make a diagram. At first write it down, then we'll.
Sir, done.
Okay, that's good. Rest of the people, whether you have done it. So let's understand a critical concept. It's not actually critical. Why I am saying this? It's actually 0.0001% critical because you are the beginner now. That's why. Whenever you will be a pro player, then it will be so much easy, right? The people who play PUBG, they know it very well. What is the difference between a noob and a pro player? Okay, now this is actually the object which is fixed with that string. Okay, there is another fixed surface that I have taken. With this, another object is fixed here, and these two objects are connected. Right? So easy concept now. In this case, we can say the weight. Suppose if I can say this is M1 and this is M2. So the weight of the object is not affecting here. I'm not drawing any of the angle, nothing. Okay, no angular concept I will deliver. I'm just making you understand the tension forces. So in this case, if the tension force that is working in this direction, that is of T. So I can say the tension forces between these two, that is of T1. Oh, sorry, by mistake I have written T2. This should be of T1. Both of the tension forces will be equal between these two objects, and the tension force that will be present between M2 and the string, that will be T2. So here three tension forces have come, that is T, T1 and T2. Whenever I will just uh, complete the total diagram, because there obviously some angle is present that is of theta. I should break the components, but I will not do at this time. Then I can find out a relation between T1, T2 and T. But till that time, just understand that the tension forces which are acting between M1 and M2, these are T1. These two forces are action and reaction forces because they are applying onto different bodies. Their direction is opposite, but their values are same. Right? The tension force which is acting from this fixed surface 1 and the object M1, it is of T, and the tension force which is acting between the fixed surface 2 and the mass M2, it is of T2. Right? Up to this much, just say whether it is equal or not. Sorry, understandable or not. This is also easy, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just draw the diagram, then we'll go for the next.
Sir, done.
Okay, that's very good. Now, we have already done the tension force, the normal reaction force, right? I can tell you the force of friction now, because whenever we start the chapter friction, then I will make you understand that how the friction actually works. Okay, whenever the object is moved with respect to a surface, then a force. Let me just give you a small basic with respect to the friction. So, if this is an object, sorry, if this is a surface, suppose this is the rough surface, because you know that the force of friction will be greater for the case of a rough surface, but it will be lesser for the case of a smooth surface. So if this is the object which is placed on the surface and if it is moved in this direction, whenever the relative motion will occur between the surface and the object, then I will get a friction force along the surface, along the contact between the surface and the object. So what is the force of friction? The force which is occurring between the contact of surface and the object, and it works in the opposite direction of the motion. If the object is moving in this direction, so obviously the friction force is working in the opposite direction. We can say this is a friction force as it is determined by capital F, or in some books, some authors prefers to use the friction force as small f as well, right? Actually, the small f is used to determine or to represent the frequency, but for the case of mechanics, the small f is used to represent the friction force as well. Okay, so the force of friction that acts along the surface, along the contact between the object and the surface in the opposite direction of its motion. There are two kind of friction are there. One is actually the static friction, and other is a dynamic friction. Whenever the object is in the state of rest, whatever the friction force is applied, that is actually the static friction. Whenever the object is in the state of motion, then what the friction force acts, that is actually the dynamic friction. Okay, so there are two kind of friction forces are there. One is actually the static friction and other is the dynamic friction. Static friction acts whenever the object is in the state of rest. Dynamic friction acts whenever the object is in the state of motion. So this is a small introduction. There is actually 0.0000001% of friction of total chapter. Up to that much, do you have any doubt?
sir.
Okay. So at this time we have to end this class because the next teacher obviously he or she is waiting. So just in the next day, we'll just extend this concept. Till that time, I will just give you a small video. Actually, I have made that video, but I think the examples will be clear. Whatever the examples I have described here, the by the examples, the phenomena will be clear. If I have some animation, if I found some good animation, then I can give you, because you have to visualize the concept. Physics is all about the study of natural phenomena, whatever the things are actually happening in our surrounding. So you have to visualize the concept. Otherwise, everything will become the history, political science, like that subject. Now, so everyone, thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you,
Okay. Be
sir.
safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So bye bye. Thank you.